It was chaos, and nobody's going to blame you if you thought that it was a cyber attack. A glitch caused a widespread IT outage that crippled businesses and services around the world. Thanks, CrowdStrike. It grounded flights, it knocked out banks, it took out hospital systems. It was bad. This is the reality of a modern interconnected world using Web 2 outdated infrastructure. One small misstep and the whole planet comes to a halt. But there's a silver lining, of course, to all this drama. You're going to say Bitcoin, aren't you? Like, it's Bitcoin. It reinforces the idea that crypto is right all along. Stick around until the end of the video, and you can find out how blockchain technology can prevent a similar occurrence like this happening in the future. But what exactly happened? Well, last Thursday night and early Friday morning, 911 services in several states in the United States, including Alaska and Arizona, began reporting service outages. Then hospital staff started to complain about some kind of IT-related issues. Between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, grounded Delta Airlines, grounded American Airlines flights. Completely crazy. Later on, train and bus services began experiencing delays. Later in the day, banks began reporting issues with their systems. The same scenario was seen in many countries. The dreaded blue screen of death became a common sight on computer screens right around the world. Now, we would later learn that apparently a buggy update from cybersecurity company CrowdStrike was the culprit. Now, CrowdStrike, kind of dirty company. They got some stuff. They got some skeletons in the closet. Anyway, before Friday ended, CrowdStrike, a relatively low-key company, became a household name. But what is CrowdStrike? And why is a company that was only known to a few in the middle of all this chaos? CrowdStrike is an American cybersecurity technology company based in Austin, Texas. It provides cloud security, threat intelligence, and cyber attack response services. Believe it or not, the intention of the company is supposed to be doing good things, quote unquote. It has helped the US government multiple times in investigating high-profile hacks, for example. But one little faulty update dragged the reputation to the ground. This shows that no matter how good you are, a single mistake can absolutely be devastating. This was a pretty big mistake. I mean, come on. Now, how did the failure happen? For sure, a big company could have prevented it, you'd think anyway. But it all boils down to, well, everything being super reliant on centralized models. Of course it is. By now, we know that those that were affected were running on the Windows operating system. Mac for the win. Hey, Mac users, right? Anyway, and the irony, of course, is that all these devices rely on CrowdStrike to protect them from crippling attacks. Actually got a crippling attack from CrowdStrike. Quite funny. A system update with some faulty codes caused a cascading failure, which eventually led to the blue screen of death, a computer way of saying, I give up. CrowdStrike software relies on a centralized model where one system affects security across many devices. This creates a single point of failure. If the system is faulty, everything it interacts with can be affected. I know this is an oversimplification of what exactly happened, but this just gives us a general idea of the situation, okay? We're not going into like the nitty-gritty, nerdy tech stuff here, okay? But there is a hidden gem in all this mess, especially for us cryptocurrency people. U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis, a.k.a. the Crypto Queen, as she's been called. She posted a question on Twitter. Do you know what form of currency has not been affected by these widespread cyber outages? Bitcoin. She ended the tweet with virus in numerous, Latin phrase that means strength in numbers, alluding to the fact that the Bitcoin network is secured by thousands of independent nodes operating all around the world. Banks from around the world, of course, were affected. Bitcoin, unaffected. Banks that were affected include Bank of America, Capital One, Wells Fargo, payment processor Visa, ATMs weren't working, bank cards weren't working. It was chaos, man. Not a bad idea to have a little cash in the wallet sometimes, huh? This left consumers a few options to pay their bills or purchases. But just when traditional finance was having its meltdown, crypto networks were doing just fine. Every 10 minutes, a new Bitcoin block. Boom, 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 boom. Bitcoin didn't care about all this. If the vendor accepted crypto, of course, then transactions could have been completed without issues. Big selling point for merchants out there, right? We can argue that, of course, you can just use cash, but the ATMs are broken. How can you pay cash with an online purchase? Now, before we go deeper into this, I want to take a quick moment to let you know about the Wealth Mastery newsletter. This is your weekly guide to the cryptocurrency markets. Our readers love it. I'm sure you will too. And here's why. Because every week, my team of researchers and I help you not just to stay ahead of the curve, but we also help you to save your time by finding the latest and greatest insights on altcoins, meme coins, DeFi, airdrops, charts, a lot more. You can join 135,000 plus weekly readers for free link in the description or the pinned comment over on X. Aside from crippling our banking infrastructure, this global IT outage also exposed the risk of those overly centralized systems. Our modern society, which is heavily reliant on centralized cloud computing services, just falls to pieces with a few servers breaking down. They ground flights, your banks don't work, you're screwed. It's kind of scary. Fortunately, blockchain technology has a solution. Now, if you've been following us for a while, we've talked a lot about decentralized physical infrastructure networks. Now, to refresh your memory, a DPIN network, this is a term used for dApps and decentralized applications that incentivize people to provide real-world services. Now, DPIN touches a lot of industries. One of the biggest potentials is for cloud computing or server networks. These decentralized cloud computing networks, like the Uber of computer networks. This gives users cheap alternatives to centralized cloud computing companies, aka these centralized points of failure, like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud. One example, OG in the space, Filecoin. Now, the idea behind the project is quite simple. People who lend out their excess storage are paid with Filecoin tokens. By the way, I don't own any Filecoin. You can find my full portfolio disclosures in the description down below or the pinned comment on X. Investing in altcoins risky. You can lose all your money. You also find a risk statement over there. Take it seriously. Now, aside from online storage, there are also DPIN projects that incentivize people who contribute their excess GPU power into the network. This excess GPU power is then utilized by users who need it. Examples of this might be Render Network, which I don't own, Edge Matrix Computing, which I do own. I'll leave a couple links below, though, in case you want to learn more about DPIN and how DPIN works and the whole thesis behind that. Now, the drama with CrowdStrike exposed a critical flaw in centralized systems. A single point of failure can bring everything crashing down. Decentralized blockchain networks, on the other hand, they embrace the wisdom of not putting all your eggs in one basket. Take Bitcoin, for instance. Instead of relying on one centralized server, the Bitcoin network is secured by a vast network of thousands of independent computers. In fact, it's the strongest computer network in the freaking world. If a few computers malfunction, doesn't matter. The rest of the network keeps running just fine. This is also true with other cryptocurrency projects. Technology is not perfect, especially when you start getting out of the altcoin space, but the distributed structure inherently strengthens the network's resilience and reduces the risk of catastrophic outages. Crypto networks also encourage more participation by incentivizing your contributions into that decentralized network instead of, again, relying on our tech overlords to save us, because they're not going to. The more participants there are, the stronger the network gets. This is the beauty of crypto. Who knew, of course, that Satoshi's blueprint to give us financial freedom could also be used to strengthen our digital infrastructures globally? Pretty cool. Smart guy, that Satoshi cat. Anyway, hopefully the rest of the world is now aware of its benefits, or at least paying a little more attention to decentralized networks after this catastrophic centralized meltdown. Thanks for watching.